On the last two episodes of Zelensky Unmasked, we've exposed Ukraine's repression of independent media and opposition politicians. But the third sign that's really hard to debate, the repression of religious freedom. The Orthodox Church of Ukraine and their millions of faithful followers are also falling victim to Vladimir Zelensky's consolidation of power. We'll show you how. This is Zelensky Unmasked. In July of 2023, Metropolitan Pavel Lebed, a leader of the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, was taken to jail by Ukraine's notorious secret police, the SBU. This wasn't the first time Lebed had run afoul of Ukraine's draconian law enforcement. He'd been on house arrest since April 1st of 2023, when he was forced to appear in court and answer questions regarding supposed statements that justified or denied actions of the aggressor. The SBU alleges that he displayed sympathy for Russia on intercepted phone calls and during at least one sermon. This means that Lebed and the church were being spied on. And although this sort of speech is considered free expression in most of the world, it is now illegal in Ukraine. Still, Lebed denies all accusations.
Меня спросили, когда я виделся с Путиным. Я им ответил, тогда, когда и вы. Когда Путин приезжал в Киев, то вы общались, я не общаюсь и не имею никакого отношения.
After spending time in jail, Lebed made bail and is now on house arrest. He faces up to 8 years in prison if convicted. But Lebed isn't the only priest that faced persecution. In November of 2022, Ukraine's largest monastery, the one Lebed controls, the Kyiv-Pechersk Lavra, was raided by the SBU. The secret police claimed that they searched the premises and they found evidence of Russian sympathies. Again, this is considered a crime in Zelensky's post-invasion totalitarian dystopia.
Я вам скажу, что люди боятся в него вступать, потому что они говорят, что ими сразу заинтересуется СБУ.
Lebed and Orthodox Church supporters say they're being scapegoated in the wake of anti-Russia hysteria that has taken over the country.
Мы абсолютно не имеем ничего общего с Москвой, кроме молитвенных отношений, так как и с Стамбулом, как с Американской православной церковью, Александрийской, Антиохийской, Иерусалимской.
After the November 2022 raid, Ukraine's government tried to shut down the 1,000-year-old monastery. The planned shutdown included the eviction of hundreds of priests and nuns who lived there. Metropolitan Pavel granted us an interview just 3 days before he was supposed to be expelled from his home.
35 лет в монастыре, 29 лет будет четверг, как я наместник Киево-Печерской Лавры. Поэтому мы ждем еще раз Божьей милости, ну и что все же таки президент услышит нас, потому что...
The Kyiv-Pechersk Lavra was founded in the year 1051. Kiev was the headquarters of the Russian Orthodox Church before the church's capital was moved to Moscow in 1686. From then on, the Ukrainian Orthodox Church had been under Moscow's jurisdiction. This changed in May of 2022 when the Ukrainian wing of the church declared their independence from Moscow in protest over Russia's invasion.
Конечно, зло то, что напали на Украину.
Despite the fact that the church officially separated from Moscow in the aftermath of the invasion, and even though church officials have publicly denounced what has been termed Russian aggression, they still suffer persecution. Radical Ukrainian nationalists have been harassing the Orthodox Church since 2014, when Ukraine's democratically elected pro-Russian president, Viktor Yanukovych, was overthrown in a coup and replaced with Western-friendly leadership. In 2019, the Orthodox Church was split in two. Ukraine's then U.S.-backed president, Petro Poroshenko, helped to organize sectors of the church to break away from Moscow's jurisdiction. With 78% of Ukrainians identifying as Orthodox Christians, this was a major move with sweeping implications. The faithful split between the Orthodox Church, still under Moscow's jurisdiction, and the newly formed Orthodox Church of Ukraine. Violence against the original Orthodox Church continued, getting worse after the 2022 invasion. The United Nations denounces that, quote, public officials, bloggers, and opinion leaders use discriminatory and inflammatory rhetoric and openly incited violence against clergymen and supporters of the church. Cartel 95, the TV production studio that Zelensky co-founded, has been one of the principal instigators of this persecution. Comedians have published videos where they insult priests, call them Russian agents, and openly wish death upon them. Religious violence has now gotten out of hand. One priest in Vinnytsia fell victim in January of 2023. His attacker desecrated holy icons before slitting the priest's throat. Just a few days before, a church in Chornomorsk was attacked, and the intruder attempted to stab a priest with a knife before he was disarmed. And in the small town of Chesolnik, a priest was beaten and had his nose broken by a man wearing military fatigues.
На сегодня еще есть люди, которые внутренне создают конфликты, когда мы должны объединяться. Они вот захватывают храмы, закрывают храмы, выгоняют монахов, даже 200 человек.
Ukraine's repression of the Orthodox Church is a hot-button issue. When the government announced the eviction of the Peshurk Lavra, followers of the church camped out in front to prevent police from seizing the premises.
Для всех один и тот же закон, и мы остаемся здесь. А как уже будут вы нас выкидывать, это другой вопрос.
Authorities failed to kick all the priests out of the monastery because of fierce resistance from believers and from the monks themselves. Authorities responded by issuing July 4th as the new eviction date. Yet they failed again. Mainstream media is largely silent.
The media continues to paint this conflict about democracy, even though Ukraine is increasingly banning religions, outlets, journalists. They're doing this because that is the narrative that is sold to the American people in order to support the war.
In the past 2 years, over 100 billion of U.S. taxpayer dollars and counting have been shipped to Ukraine. We're told that we're helping a democratic ally defend itself from its tyrannical neighbor. But from the perspective of Ukraine's millions of faithful, this is just a fairy tale, a myth created for the Western public so that they can offer support for a bloody business they wouldn't otherwise back.
They want us to believe that it's, these are just the good guys. We're always funding the good guys. We're always in bed with the good guys. And the reality is what we've seen over the decades is we're not.
К сожалению, сегодня нету политиков, а есть политиканты, которым на смертях, на войне зарабатывают деньги. Вы это прекрасно знаете. Не мне вам говорить, что это делается сегодня. Они это все делают, но забывая о том, что они ответят перед Богом за все.
Over a year after the Pechersk Lavra eviction order, and that situation is still at a standstill. Protests in support of and against the church, they have continued. And many monks have refused to vacate the premises, and that eviction order is still being fought in court. Well, in the meantime, Metropolitan Pavel Lebed, he's being monitored by an electronic tracking device and is confined to a village. He faces up to 8 years in prison if convicted. Next time on Zelensky Unmasked, we're going to take a look at the problem of Nazism in Ukraine and see how deeply that evil has penetrated Ukrainian society as we continue to leave Zelensky unmasked.